Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and some of the time, or most of the time, in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, and especially in large cap tech stocks, the Mag 7 stocks that I follow. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES, the equity futures, ES futures, that's a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and NQ, the NASDAQ futures, that's a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading. The first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned at the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups or entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Here's my agenda for today, Monday, April 15th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today, as well as the upcoming events for the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with economic data. For today, retail sales data came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That was greater than expected, greater than the previous number. Let's take a look at the reaction in the S&P 500. In the overall scheme of things, it was pretty small, but there was somewhat of a bullish reaction after the 8:30 a.m. Data release that pushed the ES up to around the highs of the day and has been moving lower since right around 10 a.m. So more about that in a minute. So that was the data for today. Tomorrow, Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, building permits, housing starts. And then Wednesday is VIX expiration, and that is at the cash open. And then Friday is the monthly options expiration. And let me just do a quick check on earnings. I believe Netflix reports earnings later on this week. Yeah, Netflix reports on the 18th after the market closes. So that's Thursday after the market close. Netflix reports. And that would really kind of kick off the large cap tech earnings. All right, so that is the data and events for the week. Now let's move on to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a larger time frame, higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index. That's SPX. It looks like the current rally is definitely under pressure now. So this marks the beginning of the rally right around October 30th last year. SPX rallied up about 1,150 points and then began to make lower highs on April 1st. Let's take a closer look at that. Let's go to a 1-hour chart. This is the top of that trend line, the green trend line. Again, 1,150 points. And then on April 1st, SPX started to move lower, made a series of lower highs. Now that appears to be accelerating. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. That is based on the closing price from last Friday. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so that's the upper and lower weekly expected move. And it looks like SPX is quickly approaching the lower daily expected move, shown by these dashed blue lines. Also based on the options market closing price last Friday. And there was a pretty large expected move for today, right around 52 points, plus or minus 52 points. And again, SPX quickly approaching that level. Note I do post these levels in the Options-Doug chat channel every day. I post them the day before. So these numbers were posted in Discord yesterday afternoon, evening. All right, the red lines on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're available on a variety of trading platforms. Again, this is Thinkorswim in a 30-day, 1-hour chart. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, 5,000 is the put wall. That's a strike with a large net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. That's also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. The next level up is the volatility trigger at 5165. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And that is definitely what is going on today. We'll take a look at the Vana model in just a minute to get a graphical representation of that. And above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to decrease or subdue volatility. And note again, SPX is trading firmly in negative gamma territory, well below the volatility trigger, and also started the day in quite negative gamma. And then finally, the call wall is up at 5,300. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So 5,300 being the potential ceiling and 5,000 being a potential floor, with the volatility flip level at 5165. All right, shifts in levels. For the SPX, the put wall shifted lower and the volatility trigger shifted lower. So those levels both shifted lower. That is bearish. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. Note, SPX did gap up today, right around the 5165 volatility trigger. Going to form that wedge pattern up and down right around 5165, and then broke sharply lower just after 10 a.m. Found resistance at the 5150 level. That was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, and has been moving lower. Looks like maybe finding support almost to the tick at the lower daily expected move. 5176 versus 5071.76 versus 5071.21. So half a point off. And again, I do post these levels, the expected moves in the Options-Jug chat channel every evening the day before. All right, so let's take a look at Bookmap now. In Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can keep the SPX levels and the SPY levels on this chart. There's that 5171.0 gamma level. Just below that, the 5165 volatility trigger. And that was near the high of the day. That was near that wedge pattern shown on the SPX chart. It's a little bit more clear on the SPX chart. But that's about where the S&P 500 broke lower. And here's the lower daily expected move for ES. I do calculate that separately from the SPX lower daily expected move. So other SPX levels on this chart, there's 5100 and there's the 5150 that did act as resistance earlier today. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it is somewhere between 42 and 43. I'm using 43. So I'm showing SPX 5100 at ES 5143. So that offset somewhere between 52 and 53 points. So again, I'm also showing SPY levels on this chart. Looks like I need to add more SPY levels. So for example, here's SPY 510. Looks like that had acted as resistance. Let me take a look here. This is what I use to show those levels on my chart. So all I need to do is turn these on. Then use my price lines add-on to refresh those levels. So I'll get the SPY levels below 510. And note I also post the index relationships that I'm using every day in Discord. I post the preliminary and the final index relationships. All right, so those are levels in play for today. Here's the SPY 512 volatility trigger acting as resistance as well. All right, let's take a look. We'll take a look at setups in just a minute. And for SPY, the volatility trigger and absolute gamma strike move lower. The call wall did move higher. Call wall up at 525, definitely not in play for today. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Let's take a quick look at the underlying index charts. We'll start with QQQ. Looks like I need to adjust these levels. I'll do that later. Here's the 440. That's the absolute gamma strike and the volatility trigger and the zero gamma level for QQQ. Acting as resistance after the first move lower. Here's the put wall at 435. And let's take a look for QQQ. There was only one shift in level. The volatility trigger moved lower from 443 to 440. So QQQ trading well below its volatility trigger. Definitely a negative gamma territory. Let's take a quick look at NDX. Earlier today, the 18,000 large gamma 2 level was acting as support. And that level broke some time ago. So 18,000 large gamma 2 acting as support, then broke lower. Now NDX trading well below this cluster of levels with the call wall absolute gamma strike up above at 17,900. And the put wall is at 17,500. All right, so there were no shifts in levels for NDX. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. Big move today. Again, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show NDX levels and QQQ levels on this chart. So there's the SPY for QQQ 440 level. Lower daily expected move for NQ. NQ now trading well below that level. So far today, about a 400 point or more move lower in NQ. Big move lower in NQ. We'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, let's finish up our positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. I'm looking at SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. So the S&P 500 and also the NASDAQ. Note all these numbers are negative. They did move down from Friday. Oh, they're still slightly, that's actually slightly positive for NDX. It really is not significant compared to the other numbers. In a negative gamma environment, this means that market makers are short puts, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts. Hence the negative gamma, they have to trade in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure. So let's take a look and see how that works. Let's go to the Vana model. All right, so we know at the beginning of the day, market maker's position on the gamma curve was negative. So we're looking for a wider trading range, higher volatility, larger moves today. Just based on that, what this chart is showing is market maker's delta notional On the vertical axis, the spot price for SPX. On the horizontal axis, there are two curves on this chart. The first, the light gray curve, shows how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price only. And the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price and implied volatility. All right, so let's take a look at some prices now. So right now, SPX is trading at 5,070. Earlier today, SPX was trading, let's see where that is, the high of the day right around 5168. Sorry. All right, so somewhere right around here. That was the high of the day. So as price has been decreasing, market makers' delta notional is increasing. And they have to sell futures. That's what this is showing. So we know that price is decreasing. We can take a look at VIX in just a minute. Market makers' delta notional is increasing. Let's check on current price, 50.70 again. So that's actually right around here. So almost 100 move lower, 100-point move lower in SPX today. Market makers' delta notional has been increasing. They've been selling futures to hedge their delta exposure. They want to remain delta neutral. And this is very typical of a negative gamma environment. And if this continues, negative gamma will become even more negative tomorrow from today. So price is decreasing. Let's check VIX. Zoom in. These arrows, pardon the arrows, but VIX has been increasing, obviously. High so far today, 19.4. So VIX is up around 10% today so far. So implied volatility increasing. And what that is showing is right now the difference between the gray line and the magenta line, purple line, that's the additional hedging activity required because market makers' delta notional is increasing as implied volatility drops. And by the way, that's the Vana effect. Vana is a second order Greek. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's move on to some setups now. All right, so everything that we've looked at so far is based on static data other than Bookmap. These levels that I'm showing on my charts, these come from Spotgamma. They take open interest data, apply their algorithms to come up with those levels. They change daily. I keep track of those. And now let's move on to execution. Look at real-time data. All right, so I'm going to start with this chart right here. This is Spotgamma Hero, HIRO, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. What it is showing is market options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And note it's not providing a very clear signal today. Single stocks were, I thought, provided much more clear signals. All right, so that's the hero signal. Again, options trades, market maker hedging activity for a combined signal, SPX, SPY, XSP, ES futures. The white line is the price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. Falling hero line indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. That means they're buying puts and or selling calls. and a rising hero signal indicates they are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. And I'm going to zoom in, make this a little bit more clear in the morning. I'm going to talk about this short setup right here. So note the hero signal initially is moving higher. This flow alert comes in. These flow alerts, especially for the S&P 500, can act as mean reversion signals. Yes, these are all show 0 DTE in just a minute. All right, so hero signal comes in. Hero starts to make a series of lower highs, and then it takes really about 25 minutes. Note 51.65, that's shown as the hedge wall here. That is the volatility trigger. Before the S&P 500 finally breaks lower. So kind of a leading indicator here, just zooming in on the morning session. You can see that the hero signal was making a series of lower highs. Flow alert gets your attention, and then finally the S&P 500 breaks lower at the 51.65 volatility trigger. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap, and then we'll get back to the 0 DTE. So here's Bookmap. Let's zoom in on this. All right, the clues in Bookmap were pretty clear. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate there are more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Note all the magenta volume dots here. There are definitely some aggressive sellers up at this level. Notice also the falling dark blue to magenta line. That's cumulative volume delta. That's confirming the volume dots. And price breaks lower below that 51.65 volatility trigger as the hero signal was making a series of lower highs starting about 20-25 minutes before the break lower in the S&P 500. All right, Katinga asks, hello, welcome, glad you're here. Ask, is the flow alert based on time frames? Not that I'm aware of, no. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. So this whole chart, there's really the only time factor is this rolling window look back period. I almost always keep it on 1 day, so I'm looking at the entire day's worth of data. That's from the close to the open. All right, Caesar wants to take a look at 0 DTE. So I'm going to turn on this next expiry. And for the S&P 500, that would be 0 DTE. Both the S&P 500, SPX, SPY, ES all have options that expire every day. So that's 0 DTE. We'll zoom out and take a closer look. So the 0 DTE traders, that's shown by this teal line, they're much more bullish than traders taking trades in all expirations. That's shown by the purple line. That's the default hero signal, the purple signal. All right, so much more positive notional value for 0 DTE. So a lot of the trade today is based on 0 DTE trade options that expire today. All right, let's turn that off. All right, let's move on. So great, nice short setup, divergent short in the SP 500. Later on in the day, the signal became much less clear. And you're welcome, Katinga. You're welcome, Caesar. Yeah, Caesar says that total delta difference is absurd. 0 DTE versus other expirations. Can be puzzling. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. Normally, for the NASDAQ, I take a look at this MAG 7 signal. Let me show you what this is. This is another combined signal showing options trades at market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. I'm going to zoom in on the morning. And note, in the morning, this hero signal was a total head fake. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Hero signal moving up sharply lower, NASDAQ trading sideways, and then right after 10 a.m. breaks lower. So one thing you could gather from this chart, as the hero signal levels off, options traders take their foot off the gas, price moves lower. All right, so this is the MAG 7 hero signal. Again, a little bit of a head fake today, a little bit difficult to interpret, and let's see why. I'm going to go to the Nvidia signal. And the MAG, does this look familiar? It should. Nvidia was driving the MAG 7 signal. Sharp move higher in the morning. This was a setup that I'll talk about in a minute. And then it took a little while, but options traders took their foot off the gas. Note that Nvidia traded up to the 900 call wall key gamma strike. All right, so let's take a look at the NASDAQ signal. Sometimes I do take a look at this. A little bit more clear for this move lower in NASDAQ. Hero makes lower highs before NASDAQ breaks lower. And this is the hero signal for NASDAQ, combining NDX and QQQ options trades. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. Very similar setup. In this case, the break was at QQQ 441 and the NQ 18,300. All right, so short setup in the NASDAQ just after 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Let's go back to hero. So for NASDAQ, here's the NASDAQ signal, MAG 7 signal. So finally gets on board, say around 10:30, starting to move lower. Then this sharp move lower, right around 12:10, 12:15. Now more in sync with price action. All right, let's take a look at some stocks now. So the first stock I want to take a look at is Coinbase. So let's take a look. Let's just compare hero signals. There's the SP 500. Let's take a look at Coinbase. This is why I like to trade single stocks. Much more clarity, much more pure signal. And Coinbase, heavily driven by options trades. I'm going to separate out puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump. This is back to the MAG 7 signal, showing that the call buyers took their foot off the gas right around 10:15. I do that because there's still an auto zoom issue. So call sellers definitely driving price in Coinbase today. That's shown by the falling orange line. Blue line for puts, and a falling blue line indicates traders are buying puts, but they're much more aggressively selling calls. So the slope of these lines, the direction, is an indication of delta. Orange line, falling orange line, traders are selling calls. Market makers are buying the calls. They have to sell coin stock to hedge their delta exposure. The flow alert indicating significant options activity took a little while for this to play out, but traders started aggressively selling calls just after 9:50. Price moved lower, moved down, did a test of the hedge wall. That was a good secondary entry, moved down below the 240 put wall, and now continues lower as traders continue to sell calls. Let's go take a look at coin. Where's coin? So 245 hedge wall. So there's the initial move lower, that trend break. And that was before 10 a.m. Let me zoom in on this just a little bit. Oops. All right, come on. All right, looks like I'm going to have to. All right, let me try that again. Sorry about that. All right, so looking at the volume dots, you can start to see the large magenta volume dots. Aggressive sellers come in. Trend break below VWAP, that's shown by the light blue line, as aggressive sellers start to come in. Cumulative volume delta moving lower. Oops, wrong tool. Cumulative volume delta moving lower. 245 the hedge wall. Secondary entry point there as coin reverses at the hedge wall, moves down to the put wall, and now is moving lower as traders continue to sell calls. Much more pure, clean signal for Hero in a single stock here. All right, the next is Meta. Very similar chart pattern. Trend break in this case for Meta after 10 a.m. Aggressive sellers start to come in. All those are much smaller magenta volume dots. Let's go see what options traders are doing. Go to Meta. Having some issues with my pen tool. Sorry about that. Call sellers again, in this case also put buyers. Call sellers shown by the falling orange line, and the put buyers come in sometime later. That vertical line, that's a large block order, institutional order of traders buying puts. So blue line, orange line, both moving in the same direction. That's a very strong directional signal. In this case, it is bearish. Note the flow alert that comes in just after 10 a.m., right before the break lower. Flow alert indicating significant options activity. Another very clean, pure signal here for Vana. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. And NVIDIA was actually a good long this morning. Note traders aggressively buying calls. I don't know why the pin tool keeps doing that. Maybe, all right, traders buying calls shown by the rising orange line. NVIDIA moves up above the 900 call wall key gamma strike. And it took a while, but options traders took their foot off the gas. And then NVIDIA actually started to move lower before. So good long setup. Not a lot of clarity until, let's say, after 10:30 a.m. when orange line and blue line were somewhat moving in the same direction. Most clarity definitely in the morning with the orange line and the blue line. Traders were buying calls and or selling puts up to the 900 call wall key gamma strike. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA. So here's the bullish setup in the morning. Up to the 905 level, 5 points above the call wall key gamma strike. Buyers are exhausted. That high liquidity at that level did act as a magnet for price at the 900 and 905 level. And then remember about 10:30, Hero does shift lower. All right, let's go back and take a look at Hero. All right, so right around 10:30, 10:40, call signal shifts lower, and then right around 12, 12:10, 12:15, both lines shift lower, finally moving in the same direction. There's where the Hero signal shifted sharply lower. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. Very bearish day in Tesla from the open. I think Tesla, there was news that they plan to lay off about 10% of their workforce. So bearish news in Tesla before the open, or news that apparently the market interpreted as bearish. Mainly put buyers driving price lower today. That's shown by the falling blue line. Note the vertical line there, large block order, institutional order, buying puts. So put buyers definitely driving price for Tesla today. Move lower. They take the foot off the gas. Then just around noon, they start aggressively buying puts again, and Tesla moves lower. Let's compare the notional value. So they are selling calls. They are buying puts. You can compare the notional value for puts, minus 237 million versus minus 18 billion for calls. So again, they are buying puts and or selling calls. The put buyers, much more aggressive, driving price. When traders buy puts, market makers sell the puts, they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. Note also the flow alert that comes in. Looks like about maybe 7 or 8 minutes after the cash open. Again, signaling significant options activity. So if I'm not already looking at Tesla, I see that alert. Let's just zoom in. So let's say I'm watching my list of alerts. That alert comes in. I see that Tesla reversed lower at the 170 level. That's the put wall, key gamma strike, hedge wall. These lines are moving lower. So based on this, I would be looking for a short. Let's go to Bookmap. It's even more clear here in Bookmap. Tesla dropping sharply lower at the open at the 170 level as traders were taking negative delta positions. Pullback entry just a few minutes after the open to 169. I think that flow alert came in maybe after that. Let's just see what time this is. So I think the flow alert maybe came in just a few minutes after that reversal at 169. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, let me know. I'll be glad to take a look at any stocks. And Katinga asked, do you have any combined factors to weed out or make sure the flow alert is not a head fake? Yeah, I like to have multiple confirmations of price. So first of all, I am looking at trend. Is price trading above or below VWAP, for example? Or you can look at if you look at a candlestick chart, have your moving average, whatever you want on that chart. So I want to confirm the trend. Is the stock moving higher or lower? I'm looking at the hero signal. Is there confirmation? Looking also at CVD, cumulative volume delta, and looking at Tesla here at the open. The CVD was not necessarily clear. Oops, sorry. I thought I'd turn that off. Let's try that again. Sorry about that. Let me just reset this. All right, so pretty much from the open, the trend in Tesla was pretty clear. Moving down, hero signal confirmed that, and I'm looking for a short. So keeping in mind that, again, I've shown that the hero signal and alerts for single stocks are typically much cleaner signals than the combined signals like the Mag 7 or the NASDAQ or the SP 500. All right, Jeff wants to take a look at gold. So gold, I don't have in Bookmap. We can take a look at, let's go back to Hero. We can take a look at GLD. That's what's available here in Hero. So Hero, note the multiple flow alerts. 3 flow alerts before the open. When they come in one after another like that, Spotgamma indicates that's indicative of chop. And gold starts to move higher as traders start aggressively buying calls. And that is what's driving price today, the call buyers. Note they're also buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line, but it looks like call buyers driving price higher in GLD today. Here's the call wall at 220. That's the call wall key gamma strike, 220. That's up here, this blue line. So it looks like GLD is not quite there yet. All right, Tommy wants to take a look at DJT. Not a lot of options activity today. The notional value pretty small, but looks like definitely put buyers driving price. 300 is the put wall, key gamma strike, hedge wall. Looks like price did not quite make it up to that level. Just about 10 minutes after the open, traders start buying puts, shown by the falling blue line, and they're also selling calls, shown by the falling orange line. Orange line, blue line moving in the same direction, and a good strong directional indicator, in this case bearish. All right, continue. I hope I answered your question. So I'm trying not to look at anything in isolation. Alerts, hero signal. I'm trying to find the best combination of signals to confirm a setup. So I'm trading with 3 screens. I have hero up on one screen, Bookmap on another, and then my trading platform on another screen. So I'm looking at hedging flow, order flow, and then really just kind of the trend in my trading platform. Elizabeth asked, what is the put wall? No problem. Put wall is a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. Not doing its job here for DJT. And Jeff, you're welcome. Well, let's go back. Let's take a look at some stocks. Actually, I'm going to go back to the total signal. Let's take a look at, go back to Tesla, for example. Hero signal continues to move lower. Let me show you these alerts. This is what I look at in the morning. Most of the alerts come in just a few minutes after the open. This is for the S&P 500 signal, showing the hero signal moving higher, S&P 500, SPX in this case, moving lower. Here's and this alert came in, that was almost 30 minutes ago. That's this alert right here. Take a look at NVIDIA. You're welcome, Elizabeth. All right, NVIDIA continues to move lower. Maybe heading down toward the 850 put wall. Let's go take a look at Bookmap, take a look at NVIDIA. So it looks like that. Let me zoom in on this. Hero signal definitely leveling off here in NVIDIA. Options traders have taken the foot off the gas right as that flow alert comes in. We'll go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA. So options traders have taken their foot off the gas. And NVIDIA is moving sideways between 865 and 870. All right, I'm going to scan some charts on my trading platform, see if I see anything. All right, so it looks like snowflake trying to move higher. Let's take a look at that. Let's go see what options traders are doing. Go to snowflake. So in this case, not a lot of confirmation from options traders for this move higher. Also saw AMD possibly trying to move higher. So this looks a little bit more clear. Let's zoom in on this. Separate out puts and calls. We'll zoom on this. All right, I'm going to go back to the total signal. Sorry about that. A little bit more clear on the total signal here. Looks like AMD stock started to move first. Let's go to Bookmap. See if some aggressive buyers are coming into AMD. No. CVD continues to move lower. Let's go back to Hero. Hero signal may be leveling off. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go to AMD. So in this case, I would be looking for a potential trend break and a move lower. So that's not a recommendation. That may not happen. So I would watch Hero and price action and AMD. All right, Elizabeth asked, do you use the white and blue line in Hero? All right, let's go back to Hero. And separate out puts and calls. All right, so I'm not sure what lines you're asking about. So this is AMD. The blue line is puts. And the rising blue line indicates traders are buying puts. or selling puts, I'm sorry, and a falling blue line indicates traders are buying puts. The white line is price. So yeah, I do use the blue line, I use the white line, and the orange line is calls. A rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls, and a falling orange line indicates traders are selling calls. Jeff says, and you're welcome, Jeff. I'm just starting with you. Do I go to, I assume you mean Discord, to find out how to load Hero? Go to Spotgamma, spotgamma.com. You'll need to subscribe to spotgamma.com. You'll need the alpha subscription to get Hero. And Spotgamma does provide a free 7-day trial, so definitely worth a try. All right, Abu asks, can you please look at NQ Hero and see what traders are doing? So there is no, all right, so now it looks like traders may be starting to, or continuing to buy calls and selling puts in AMD, maybe starting to move higher. All right, so there is no Hero signal for NQ. So we can take a look at, would be the total signal for QQQ and NDX. And thank you, Stephen. So again, there's no NQ Hero. There is NDX. You can look at NDX separately or QQQ separately, or here's the combined signal. So traders are starting to buy calls and sell puts right around 130 in NASDAQ. So far, price not really responding. Here, price shown in terms of NDX. So you can also look at the QQQ signal. Pretty similar. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. Boo says, all right, so AMD continues to move higher, so the trend rules here. Zoom in a bit. All right, so Abu, you're right, 431 acting as support, multiple test. That is QQQ 431. That's not a Spotgamma level. That is just a round number level, QQQ, acting as support. All right, AMD continues to make a series of higher lows and higher highs. Let's go back and we'll take a quick look at Hero for AMD. Go to the total signal. So now confirming the move higher. Options traders starting to take positive delta positions, buying the dip in AMD. One thing that I should have noticed before, 160 is the put wall. So now price trading above that level. That did act as support earlier today. AMD did break below that level, now trading back above. Let's go to Bookmap, and then we'll wrap it up. $160 put wall. Here it's a little bit more clear. Price did break below that level earlier today. Sharp reversal higher. And then now finding support 1 point below the put wall at 159 and moving higher. And now Hero is confirming that move higher. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. And I will see you on Wednesday. Remember, building permits, housing starts tomorrow morning, might be a market mover, and then VEX expiration on Wednesday morning. And we'll talk about it on Wednesday afternoon. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon. Thanks again, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye.